And the very best of luck to you. OK, our first guest is a literary institution, having penned an astounding 25 novels, the latest of which has just been released. One of her most famous works, A Woman of Substance, is currently celebrating its 30th year in print and is a classic that's been read by millions worldwide and published in no less than 40 languages. It's even been made into a movie.
Tell me more about Leeds, Blackie.
Well, it's full of modern inventions. There were tram cars there, Emma. Amazing vehicles that run on tracks without the need of horses. Oh, there's wonders to see in Leeds, I tell you.
Then there's work to be had in Leeds?
Well, 5 years ago, I went there with my Uncle Pat. And now we have our own business. Repair works and building to the gentry. I tell you, I aim to make myself a pile one day and be a millionaire.
Can a girl like me make a fortune in Leeds?
In a matchbox. Would you please welcome Barbara Taylor Bradford?
I agree with everything you said.
Oh,
yes. Hello, ladies. How are you?
You're saying, Barbara, it's lovely
to
to see you. You're whispering to Carol that you agree with everything she said. Don't start her off.
Yes, I do. I don't want to go out without Bob. However, you know, sometimes if a person isn't well, like a cold, if he couldn't go or I couldn't go and it was a really important event, he would go alone.
Yes.
But I prefer to be with him.
And how long have you been together?
We've been married 45 years.
45.
I was very young.
I mean, you literally moved your life for him, didn't you? You left England and started a new life in New York.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, so you really did follow your heart and your man.
Whither thou goest, I go.
Oh.
Yes.
And from Leeds to New York,
No, from London.
From
I lived in
right?
London for 10 years. I was in Fleet Street.
Right.
I was on newspapers.
You grew up in Leeds, though,
Yes,
didn't
I did.
you?
Yes, I'm
such
from Leeds.
a huge journey you've made.
Well, that's right. I came to work in London when I was a young girl, after I'd been on the Yorkshire Evening Post.
And then you came and worked in women's publishing in London. You were on Women's Own?
First, I was with Woman's Own, yes, as a fashion editor, and then I was on the London Evening News.
But you were really young. You were only 20 then, weren't you?
Yes,
when you moved down to London,
yes.
and you were like a features editor or fashion editor.
Yes, and I was working there on a newspaper called the London American, excuse me, and then I met Bob. And that was it.
And that was it.
Everything changed when you met him, didn't
yes,
it?
It did.
But your life changed considerably because once you got there, you kind of got the guts, I suppose, to get that first novel out. And what a novel it was.
Yes, it was the fifth of 4 attempts. I tried 4 times and didn't like my first 4 attempts. I mean, I never really finished the books. You know, I'd get to 90 pages or 120. And then I had the idea for A Woman of Substance, and it took me about 2.5 years. It was very long, and it was 1,592 pages, and it weighed 16.5 pounds. It was a big baby.
Where did the story come from? So did you when you set out, did you have a beginning, a middle, and end, or did it just evolve as you started to write?
No, my books always have a beginning, a middle, and an end before. I must know the end. I must know everything before I start to write.
Even your characters?
Oh, absolutely. Character is plot. If Emma Hart had not been the woman she was and had the kind of character that she had, then the story would have been different. She would have been maybe a wimp and not this strong woman who went out to conquer the world.
Yeah. But what motivates you? Because you could have probably retired on the proceeds of that book alone.
Yes,
and yet
I
you
could.
still get up, according to what we've read, at 5 o'clock in the morning and write for 8 hours a day.
Well, I get up at 5 o'clock because I've got to get a household organised, and I have a dog. I used to get up at 6, but I have a little dog who now has diabetes, and she's got to have an insulin injection around 6:15, and I've got to get her to eat because the injection doesn't work. And she's a slow eater, and you really must get food in the dog before you give. So that's why, and then I have to make Bob's breakfast. You see. 2 boiled eggs, 3.5 minutes.
Try it. this is what kind of surprised me about you, Barbara, because you are your very own woman of substance. I mean, this book is 30 years old, and between then and now, you've continued to write. It's 25 novels you're up to now, I think. You are a powerhouse, and yet you have what we would term very old-fashioned views on marriage. You think that there has to be a boss in the relationship, and that for you is your husband.
Yes, I'm boss of the house and he's boss of everything else. But let me answer your question. You said, why do I still do it? What would I do every day?
Yes,
I've always gone to work since I was 15. So what am I going to do? Go shopping? No.
Yeah.
I shop when I need a jacket for this show, you know.
How come you don't run out of ideas after you've done so much incredible work for such a long time? Where do you get your inspiration?
Things come to me like that. I read all the newspapers. I look at a lot of television news shows. But you can't be a novelist without an imagination. Somebody can write very beautifully, but they might not be able to write, for instance, breaking the rules, because they haven't got an imagination to be able to invent all those lies. You see, in Breaking the Rules, nothing happened that's in that book actually happened, but I decided it did.
Yes.
And I invented everything and the characters. And it is the characters that tell the story, really.
And in this instance, your leading lady is a supermodel.
Yes, she is.
She goes on to become a supermodel.
Well, she becomes one, yes.
Yeah, and that
a
kind of
mysterious woman. You don't know
M.
until halfway through the book who she really is. I mean, you probably might guess, but...
Well, I've had a good go at it, yes. But of course the lawyers are watching, so we'll leave that one there. But this kind of harks back to your fashion journalism, because that was really where you started out, wasn't it?
Yes, and she becomes, in a sense, a woman of substance because she does it herself. And not to digress, but it is part of today. Tonight we will be choosing the woman of substance of now in England, because we've had the Woman of Substance Awards. They've been going since June. And in August, when I was here, I read 25 entries and cried, as we all did, the women who were choosing them with me, because the stories are so moving. Ordinary women doing extraordinary things, that's what we were looking for. And there's a big double spread in the Daily Express today about the shortlisted. And tonight, I know who it is, but I'm not going to tell you. Tonight we'll choose the winner and the runners-up, and they're currently having makeovers at Debenhams.
Oh, how lovely! Well, what a night you've got to
And
look
the
forward to.
prize is from P&O Cruises, and what it is a cruise to New York, and when they get there, at one moment, they have tea with me and Bob.
Like meeting the Queen! Oh, well, Barbara, the very best of luck with those
Thank you
awards
very
tonight.
much.
A great idea and a great new book out in your shops now.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's Barbara Taylor Bradford.
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.
OK, time for us to take a short break. But when we return, we'll be asking, is Paris Hilton right when she says life's just too short to blend into the background? We'll be back soon.